Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something I know a lot of you are grappling with. How to choose the right AI solution for software development.
Yeah, that's tough.
There's so much hype, so many vendors claiming to have the silver bullet, but we want to give you the tools to cut through that noise,
Absolutely.
to make smart decisions. And our roadmap for this deep dive is this guide from GitLab about evaluating AI solutions, especially for software development.
Great guide. It's really practical.
Yeah, and we're going to uncover some surprising insights along the way. Like, did you know that using multiple AI models can actually make your solution more secure?
It's true.
We're also going to tackle that big question that's on everyone's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Can AI really help with all those tasks that take up the majority of a developer's time, not just the coding?
Right. Because let's be honest, we spend way more time on things other than writing new code each day.
Exactly. So let's dive in. And I think we have to start by acknowledging this kind of tension that the GitLab report highlights.
Yeah.
It says that 60% of developers believe AI is absolutely essential to stay competitive.
Right.
But then 55% also say it's risky.
Yeah. It's understandable. I mean, there are valid concerns. It's a powerful technology.
So how do we balance that need for AI with the real concerns about data security, potential bias in the AI, all the things that keep us up at night?
Well, the guide lays out 9 key questions that every developer should be asking any AI vendor.
9 key questions. Okay, I'm ready to put those vendors in the hot seat. Hit me with the first one.
So the first one, and we touched on this a moment ago, is how many large language models, LLMs for short, are being used? And are they coming from multiple vendors?
Okay, multiple LLMs. I'm already intrigued. Why is that so important? Wouldn't using more models just make things more complex?
It seems counterintuitive, I know, but think of it like this. Relying on just one LLM is like getting advice from only one expert.
Okay.
They might be brilliant, but they also have their own biases, their own blind spots. You know what I mean?
So by using multiple LLMs, it's like getting a second opinion, maybe a third, even a fourth. You're less likely to be swayed by a single, potentially flawed viewpoint.
Precisely. And especially if those LLMs come from different vendors, you're diversifying your AI portfolio, so to speak. That reduces bias, which is huge, but it also helps with security.
Oh, interesting. So if one LLM goes down or has some kind of disruption, the others can pick up the slack.
Exactly. It's about spreading that risk. It's like a safety net.
I like that. A safety net for your AI makes sense, especially in software development where downtime could be so costly.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so multiple LLMs, that's a big green flag. Got it.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the thing everyone's worried about. Data. How do we make sure our code, our information, isn't being gobbled up by these AI solutions?
Yeah, great question. And that brings us to question number 2. How does the vendor actually handle customer data? And this is where you have to dig deep. Don't be afraid to ask the hard questions.
Right.
Look for a vendor that has a privacy-first policy.
Because the guide mentions that data privacy and security are the biggest obstacles to people actually using AI, right?
Yeah.
It's this huge cloud of uncertainty.
Absolutely. And we've all seen the headlines about data breaches, misuse of information. You don't want to be that next cautionary tale.
Definitely not. So we're scrutinizing those data policies, right?
Yeah.
Just making sure they minimize data collection. Are they compliant with all the regulations, robust security in place? All those things.
All of that. You want a vendor that treats your data like it's the crown jewels, not just, something to be fed to the AI machine without a second thought.
Right. Treat my data like a priceless artifact. I like that. Okay, so what's the next thing we need to grill these vendors about?
All right. Question number 3. This is one that a lot of people don't think about. Ownership of the input and output. Do you own the code that you feed into the AI? And do you own the results? Or does the vendor claim some rights to it?
Wait a minute. The vendor could actually own the code my team creates using their AI.
Yeah.
That's wild. I never would have thought to ask about that.
It's a crucial point, especially in software where intellectual property is everything. Imagine you're building some groundbreaking new feature, and then you find out, oops, the vendor actually owns the rights to that code.
Yeah, that's a disaster. So I need to be crystal clear about who owns what before I even start using an AI solution.
Absolutely.
This is getting serious.
All right, what's next on our AI interrogation list?
Question 4, deployment options. Where and how can you actually run this AI solution? You want flexibility here.
Okay.
Can you self-host it on your own servers? Can you run it in a private cloud, public cloud? The more options, the better.
So it's about having choices, not being locked into one specific setup.
Exactly.
Does this tie back to that idea of future-proofing our AI investments?
100%. The AI world is changing so fast. What works today might be outdated tomorrow, so you need a solution that can adapt. And flexible deployment gives you that freedom, right? It's like building a house with rooms that can change as your family grows. You don't want to be stuck with some fixed layout that no longer works. So we've covered number of LLMs, data privacy, ownership, deployment. Wow, this AI evaluation is more complex than I thought. But question number 5.
This one is about looking past the hype and really getting into how this AI will fit into your existing workflow. Question 5. Does this AI solution actually offer features that support the entire DevSecOps lifecycle, not just bits and pieces?
Okay, hold on. DevSecOps lifecycle. For our listeners who might not be super familiar with that term, can you give us a quick breakdown?
Sure. DevSecOps is basically a way of approaching software development where security is baked into the whole process from the beginning,
Okay.
not just tacked on at the end.
So from planning and coding to testing, deployment, the whole shebang.
Exactly. It's about building security into the DNA of the software.
Got it. So we're not just looking for an AI that can spit out code, but one that can help with all those other phases of development, especially the security parts.
Right. And remember that stat we mentioned earlier, less than 25% of a developer's time is actually spent writing new code.
Yeah.
The rest is on all these other tasks: testing, debugging, reviewing code, security, all that.
So we need an AI that's a multi-tool, not just a code-generating machine. What are some examples of how AI can help with that other 75% of our work?
Well, think about things like summarizing documentation. That can take forever.
Oh, tell me about it.
But AI can analyze those big, long documents and pull out the key info you need. Saves a ton of time.
That's huge, especially when you're working with, new technologies. What else?
Vulnerability analysis. AI can scan your code for potential security flaws, flag them, even suggest fixes, like having an extra set of eyes constantly looking for trouble.
And I'm guessing it can help with predicting potential bugs even before they happen.
You got it. By analyzing your code and looking at historical data, AI can spot patterns and anomalies that might point to future bugs, so you can get ahead of them.
This is starting to sound like AI could be a developer's best friend, not just a replacement.
That's the idea. AI should be empowering us, helping us build better, more secure software. But to get there, we need to ask the right questions up front and choose solutions that really support that whole development process.
Okay, so question 5 is all about making sure this AI solution is a team player, not just a solo act. What's next?
All right, so question 6 digs deeper into the security aspect. It asks, does this AI solution actually enhance security within your development process? Or does it add more complexity? Because we don't want more headaches.
Right, the last thing we need is AI creating more security issues. We want things that simplify security, not complicate it.
Exactly. Ideally, this AI should fit in with your existing security tools and processes, like your static and dynamic code analysis, vulnerability scanning. It should make those things better.
So when I'm talking to vendors, I should be asking, how does your AI play with my current setup? Does it play nice? And if it's creating more work for my security team, that's a red flag.
Big red flag. You want a solution that makes your security stronger, not one that forces you to rip and replace everything you already have. And this is where GitLab's own solution, GitLab Duo, comes in.
Oh, interesting.
They've built it to be directly integrated with their whole DevSecOps platform, so you get that seamless integration from the start.
Okay, it sounds like they're really thinking about how AI fits into the bigger picture. But even with a smooth integration, how do I prove that this AI stuff is actually working? How do I show my team, my bots, myself even, that it's worth the investment? That brings us to question 7, right?
You got it. Question 7 is all about accountability. Can you measure the impact? Does this AI solution have good reporting analytics? Because we need data.
Data speaks louder than words. I want evidence that the AI is delivering what it promises.
Exactly. You need to be able to track things like, how much time is this saving your team? How many bugs is it catching? How is it improving your security posture? You need numbers.
So I'm looking for a solution that has built-in analytics, not something where I have to cobble together reports from a bunch of different tools. The easier it is to track that impact, the better. And hopefully the data will show that we're not being replaced by robots.
Right.
Just getting some much-needed help.
Exactly. AI to empower developers, not replace them.
Okay, good stuff. We'll take a quick break here, but don't go anywhere. We've got 2 more questions to cover, and then we'll dig into those best practices that GitLab recommends which are super important. And we're back, ready to tackle those last two key questions to ask AI vendors.
Let's do it.
And then we've got those best practices from GitLab, because picking the right AI solution goes way beyond just checking off a list of features.
Right. It really does. It's about finding a solution that works for your team.
Exactly. Their skills, their workflow, and honestly, their comfort level.
Yeah, because AI can be intimidating, even for experienced developers.
No doubt. So question number 8. This is where we address that fear factor, right? What should we be asking vendors to make sure our team isn't left feeling totally lost in the AI wilderness?
This one's all about support. What kind of training and support does the vendor offer? Because you're not just buying software here, you're entering a partnership.
A partnership. I like that. So we're looking for vendors that are invested in our success, not just making a quick sale. What does that actually look like in terms of support?
Well, first off, good documentation is essential.
Okay.
Clear tutorials, how-to guides, maybe even interactive demos. The goal is to make the AI easy to understand, even for team members who might not be, AI experts.
Right. Not everyone on the team is going to have a PhD in data science. We need to make sure they can actually use this thing. What about hands-on support?
That's where things like online forums, dedicated support channels, maybe in-person workshops can be really helpful. You want to know that if you hit a snag, if you have a question, you can get help quickly.
So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about having that safety net. Knowing you're not alone, that can make a big difference in how the team adopts AI.
Absolutely.
Okay, last question. Bring it on.
Question number 9 is all about the long game. It asks, what ongoing maintenance and support is provided? Because AI is constantly evolving, right?
So it's not just buying the shiny new AI tool, it's making sure it stays shiny and relevant. What are some key things to ask about here?
Think about things like, how often are updates released? How are bug fixes and security patches handled? Do they have a roadmap for future features that's public? You want to see that they're actively investing in the AI and keeping up with the latest advancements.
It's like choosing a fitness tracker, right? You don't want one that's going to be obsolete in 6 months. You want one that keeps getting better, new features, more accurate.
Exactly. You want a vendor that's committed to the long haul.
All right, so those are the 9 key questions to arm yourself with when you're evaluating any AI solution. But you said earlier, there's more to this decision than just grilling vendors, right? GitLab also offers these best practices
They do.
to help make the most informed choice.
Right. It's like putting on your detective hat and really doing your homework, making sure this solution is the right fit, not just good in theory.
Okay, I'm ready to channel my inner Sherlock Holmes. What's the first clue we should be looking for?
This one's so simple, but people miss it all the time.
Understand the problems you're actually trying to solve. It's easy to get caught up in the AI hype, but before you even look at solutions, take a step back and define your needs.
So it's like going to the doctor. Before they can give you the right treatment, they need to understand your symptoms, right?
Precisely. What are the challenges your team is facing? Slow development, too many bugs, security vulnerabilities, something else. Once you know the pain points, then you can look for AI solutions that address those specific problems. Right. It's about choosing the right tool for the job. You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb. You need the AI that fits your goals.
Exactly. So once you have a clear picture of your needs, the next best practice is all about trust. Prioritize transparency and documentation.
Okay.
Remember those questions we talked about earlier about how data is used, ownership, security? You need clear answers in writing, no vagueness.
Because vague answers are a huge red flag. It's like they're hiding something.
Totally. And good documentation goes beyond just the policies, tutorials, how-to guides, API references, anything that helps your team actually understand and use the AI.
Because if we can't figure out how to use it, even the most powerful AI is useless. So transparency and documentation, that's crucial. What else should we be looking for?
Don't just take the vendor's word for it. Ask for case studies, references. Talk to other companies in your industry. See how they've used this AI solution. What were their results?
This is how we separate the hype from reality. It's like checking references for a job candidate. We want to hear from real people who've been in the trenches.
Exactly. Case studies and references give you that firsthand perspective.
Did the AI live up to the hype? That's what we want to know. Okay, proof points, check. What's next on the best practice list?
This one's important. Can you estimate the return on investment? Because AI can be expensive.
Absolutely. We've got to justify that cost. But how do you measure ROI for something like AI? It's not like buying a new server where you could easily calculate the savings.
It's tricky, but you can do it. Start with those case studies. Did other companies see benefits like faster development, fewer bugs? Then try to quantify those benefits for your team.
So if we can show that this AI is going to save us time, money, reduce risks, that's a strong argument for the investment.
Yeah.
And those built-in analytics we talked about earlier, those can help us actually track ROI over time, right?
You got it. Those analytics can show the impact, prove the value you're getting. Now, the last best practice might be the most important one. Don't go all in right away. Start with a pilot program.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Dip your toes in the water before you jump in head first. What are the benefits of a pilot?
A pilot program lets you test the AI on a smaller project. Get some hands-on experience, see how it fits into your workflow, find any problems before you roll it out to everyone.
It's like a test drive before you buy the car. You can really see how it handles. And a pilot program gives you real data, right?
Exactly. You can track productivity, code quality, security, get feedback from your team.
This whole thing's starting to feel like a detective investigation. Gathering evidence, analyzing data, making sure we have a solid case before we decide.
I like that analogy. Now, speaking of evidence, let's loop back to GitLab Duo, their AI solution. Remember, they designed it to work directly within their DevSecOps platform.
Right, and that addresses a lot of those concerns we've been talking about. Multiple LLMs, data privacy, ownership, flexible deployment. They've really thought it through.
They have. But remember, they're not the only option out there. And GitLab encourages you to do your research. Ask those tough questions. Evaluate everything before making a decision.
They're basically saying, don't take our word for it. Find the solution that's right for you.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of this step dive. Empowering you, the listener, to make informed decisions about AI. Now, as we wrap things up, let's look back at some of the most surprising things we've learned. And I'll leave you with a question to really get you thinking about the future of AI in software development.
All right. Sounds good. I'm ready for those aha moments. Wow, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive. All the hype and anxieties around AI, the nitty-gritty of evaluating solutions, even a peek at GitLab's AI offering.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah,
But now's the fun part.
the fun part.
Yeah, looking back at those aha moments, those little nuggets of wisdom that made us think, never thought of it that way before.
I love those.
Me too. When the fog clears and you see AI's potential, not just as some cool new toy, but as a tool that could actually change how we do software development.
Absolutely. It's exciting.
So what were some of those mind-shifting moments for you? For me, that whole idea of multiple LLMs for security was huge. Like at first it seemed kind of counterintuitive, but the more we talked about it, the more it made sense. It's like building a more resilient system by spreading the risk.
Exactly. Like having a team of experts with different viewpoints, you get a more balanced perspective, which is so important for security. And if one LLM has a problem, the others keep things running.
It's like having a backup generator for your AI. You're not left in the dark if one system fails. Another thing that really hit home for me was that question of ownership rights. Like, who owns the code created with AI? Never would have thought to ask that before.
It's one of those things that can slip through the cracks when everyone's excited about new technology. But it matters, especially for developers. Can you imagine creating some amazing new feature and then, oops, the AI vendor says they own the code?
Total nightmare. So it's not just about finding the coolest tools. It's about understanding the details, making sure you're protected. Like, it's almost like signing a record deal.
Oh, yeah.
You need to make sure you're not giving away the rights to your work.
A good lawyer is essential. And it reminds us of another key takeaway. AI isn't just about code generation. It can support the entire DevSecOps lifecycle, from docs to security, even predicting bugs.
It's like a Swiss Army knife for software development.
Like that.
So many tools in one, helping us do our jobs better.
And not replacing developers, which is so important.
Empowering them.
Exactly. AI to augment human intelligence, not eliminate it. That's a message we should all remember as this AI landscape keeps changing.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. Given how fast AI is moving, how might these criteria for choosing an AI solution change even in the next year? What new trends should we be watching?
That's a great question to ponder. And it shows how important it is to stay informed and be adaptable. The world of AI never stands still, right? It's constantly evolving. So we have to stay curious, keep asking those tough questions, and be ready to adapt.
It's like surfing. You have to constantly adjust to stay on top of the wave. And who knows what incredible new AI stuff is coming next?
Exactly. It's a thrilling time to be a software developer, so keep exploring, Keep experimenting and keep pushing those boundaries.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
That's all for this deep dive. But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to keep learning about AI, apply what you've learned, and share your experiences with others. Thanks for joining us.